The first thing I photographed in Boise City was a dog sleeping in the middle of Main Street at 10 in the morning with no one to disturb it. The second thing was the empty storefront where the hardware store had been, the windows dusty and the closed sign still hanging as if the owner had stepped out and was expected back. The third thing was the Wheeler Road lunch counter, which I photographed from across the road because it was the only building on the block with its lights on. And in 6 weeks of driving the Oklahoma panhandle, I had learned that light in a window was worth photographing because it was becoming rare. I was a WPA staff photographer attached to the Farm Security Administration's documentary unit, which meant I drove a government Ford and carried a Graflex and had instructions to document conditions in the Dust Bowl region and report to an office in Washington that would use the photographs for purposes I was not always informed of. I had been doing this for 6 weeks across 3 states, and I had filled 4 rolls of film with empty farmhouses and dust-drifted fence lines and families on the road, and the particular way a town looks when 2/3 of its people have left and the remaining third are waiting to decide. I was good at my work. I had a good eye for the image that told the whole story in a single frame. What I was not good at, in the summer of 1936, was talking to people. The camera helped with that. Behind the camera, you are the observer. You don't have to be the person in the room. I stopped at the Wheeler Road lunch counter because I needed coffee, and because the sign said open, and because on a road that had otherwise offered me nothing but dust and distance for 14 miles, a lit window and an open sign constituted something like hospitality. The counter had 8 stools and 3 tables and a pie case with 2 pies in it and a coffee urn that smelled like it had been going since early morning, which it had. The walls had the pressed tin ceiling that Oklahoma lunch counters got when they were built before the crash and hadn't been updated since. A radio on the shelf above the grill was playing something with a fiddle in it. The place was empty except for the woman behind the counter. She was wiping down the surface when I came in. She looked up. I will try to say this accurately, which is what I was trained to do. She was young, mid-20s, I thought, with honey blonde hair that had come half out of its knot, and hazel eyes that found me and held me in the way of someone who has gotten used to assessing strangers quickly and doesn't find them particularly alarming. She was wearing a yellow dress and a white apron, and she had on small pearl earrings that were the kind of detail that stops you. The kind of detail that says, some things you keep doing regardless. She was not beautiful the way a photograph is beautiful. She was beautiful the way a thing is beautiful when it is completely itself. I noticed all of this in the time it took to walk to the counter and sit down, and then I put my camera bag on the stool beside me and asked for coffee. "Just coffee?" she said. "For now," I said. She poured it and set it in front of me and went back to wiping the counter. The coffee was good. Real coffee, not extended with chicory the way they did it in the camps. I noted this with the specific gratitude of a man who has been on the road for 6 weeks. "You passing through?" she said. It was not an unfriendly question. It was simply the question, the one everyone asked out here because the options were passing through or staying, and staying had become unusual enough that it required an explanation. "Working," I said. "WPA. I'm documenting conditions in the region." I touched the camera strap. "Photographs." She looked at the camera bag, then at me. "Of what?" "What's here," I said. "What's been left." She absorbed this. "There's more of that than there used to be," she said. "Left things." "I know," I said. "I've been looking at it for 6 weeks." She refilled my cup without being asked, which told me something about her habits, and went to check something on the grill that didn't need checking, which told me something else. When she came back, she leaned against the counter on her side of it and said, "You're not going to photograph in here, are you?" It was not quite a question. "Not without asking," I said. She looked at the pie case, at the radio, at the pressed tin ceiling. "My father built this place in 1928, she said. "People keep wanting to take pictures of it now, like it's already gone." I looked at the coffee in my cup. "It's not gone," I said. "No," she said, "it isn't." She said it with a quietness that was the opposite of resignation. Her name was Calla Briggs. I learned that from the hand-lettered sign behind the counter that said Briggs Lunch Counter in her father's handwriting. And then from her when she introduced herself, because I'd been sitting there for 40 minutes and she had refilled my cup 3 times, and we had talked about the dust and the road and whether the wheat would come back. And she said finally that she'd been raised to introduce herself to people she intended to keep talking to. I told her I was Miles Garrett, which she received the way she received everything, directly, without excess. "What have you photographed today?" she said. "A dog in the street," I said. "The hardware store. The road coming in." "Henderson's Hardware," she said. "He left in March. Wife's family is in Amarillo." She wiped a glass. "What are you going to do with the photographs?" "Send them to Washington," I said. "They go in a file. Sometimes they use them in reports. Sometimes they end up in newspapers. Sometimes nothing." She considered this. "Does it help?" she said. "The photographs?" I had been asked this before, in various forms, by various people who were in the photographs. I had a practiced answer about documentation and policy and public awareness. I did not give it. "I don't always know," I said. She looked at me directly with the hazel eyes. "That's honest," she said. I stayed another hour. I had not intended to stay another hour. The government car was parked outside with 4 counties of Oklahoma still to cover and a report due to the district office by Friday. I stayed because the coffee was good, and because the radio was playing something I liked, and because Calla Briggs had a quality of conversation that was rare on the road. She said what she thought. She asked real questions, and she listened to the answers without deciding what she thought of them before they were finished. When I finally got up to leave, she was cutting the second pie into slices for the afternoon. "The pie's for whoever comes," she said without looking up. "It's peach. Thursday is pie day." "Thursday it is," I said. She looked up then, a brief look, quick and clear. She didn't say anything. I drove the 14 miles to the next county and photographed 2 more abandoned farms and a dry creek bed and a family camped at a crossroads who had been there 3 days waiting for their truck to be repaired, and who let me take their picture because, the father said, at least someone was looking. That night, I wrote in my field notes about the Wheeler Road lunch counter and about the pressed tin ceiling and the 2 pies in the case and the radio and the open sign and the woman who had told me she had been raised to introduce herself to people she intended to keep talking to. I wrote more about all of it than I needed to for the report. I noticed this but didn't stop. The next morning, I drove back the 14 miles and had breakfast. She didn't say anything about it. She brought eggs and toast and coffee, and I took 2 photographs of the counter from my stool, the coffee urn, the pie case, the way the morning light came through the front window and fell in a long stripe across the linoleum floor, and she watched me do it with the expression of someone watching a person do something they've already decided to allow. "What is it you're actually looking for?" she said, "when you look through the camera?" I thought about this. "The true thing," I said. "The thing that's still there after everything else is taken away." She set down the coffee pot. She looked at me for a moment, really looked, the way she had of doing it that made a person feel accounted for. Then she turned back to the grill. "Let me know if you find it," she said. And then, almost too quiet to hear over the radio, "I think you're closer than you know." I didn't know what to do with that. I paid for breakfast and left. I came back on Thursday for the pie. I kept coming back. Partly, the pie was genuinely the best I had eaten in Oklahoma, which is a state that takes its pie seriously, and which I was now in a position to assess comparatively. But that is not an honest account of why I kept driving 14 miles of dust road before 7 in the morning. The honest account is that Calla Briggs was the most interesting person I had met in 6 weeks of talking to interesting people, and that the lunch counter felt like the only place in the panhandle where something was being maintained at full strength instead of at the minimum required to call it surviving. She made pie on Thursdays because her father had. She kept the counter open 6 days a week because her father had. She put the pearl earrings on every morning because her grandmother had given them to her, and because some things you keep doing. None of this was sentimentality. It was more like physics. The belief that if you keep applying force to a thing, the thing continues to exist. And the existence of the thing matters even if you are the only one left who is sure of it. I asked her once why she hadn't gone to Tulsa with her mother. She wiped the counter for a moment before she answered. "Because my mother would manage fine in Tulsa," she said. "She has her sister, and she has her knitting, and she's good at being in a city." She set the cloth down. "And because somebody needs to be here." "For who?" I said. It was a fair question. The road outside had been empty for the last hour. She looked at it. "For whoever comes," she said. "Like you came." I looked at my coffee cup. "I came for coffee," I said. "You came back for 8 days," she said, and there was something in the way she said it that was not a challenge, and not a flirtation, but something more careful than either. The statement of a fact by a woman who has decided to be honest about what the facts are. I had been in Boise City for 8 days. This was correct. My assignment covered a territory of 12 counties, and I had spent 8 days within 15 miles of one lunch counter. I had sent 2 rolls of film to Washington with field notes that mentioned Wheeler Road by name 4 times, which I was reasonably sure was more than the documentation required. "Calla," I said. "Miles," she said. There was a moment. The radio was playing something with a piano in it. The afternoon light was doing what it does in Oklahoma in July, going long and horizontal in amber, coming through the west window and falling across the counter between us. Outside, the road was empty in both directions for as far as you could see. I picked up my camera. Not to take a photograph, just the instinct of a man who doesn't know what to do with his hands when something true is happening. She watched me pick it up. "You're going to do that thing where you look through the lens instead of at the person," she said. I set the camera down. "I have a report due in Washington by Friday," I said. "I know," she said. "And an assignment in New Mexico starting the following week." "I know that too," she said. She had known it since the 3rd day, when I had mentioned it the way you mention things you're not sure you want to be true. I looked at the counter, at the pie case, at the pressed tin ceiling her father had put up in 1928, at the pearl earrings that were her grandmother's, at the hazel eyes that were going gold in the afternoon light. "I don't know how to do this," I said. "I'm a man who drives around looking at things through a camera and sends the pictures to Washington. I don't have a..." I stopped. The sentence didn't have a good ending. "Miles," she said. "Yes." "I'm not asking you to have a plan," she said. "I'm asking you to stop pointing the camera at everything and look at the thing directly." She put her hands flat on the counter. "This place isn't gone. I'm not gone. You don't have to document me. You just have to see me." The radio played. The amber light held the room. I looked at her directly. No camera, no frame, no professional distance between the observer and the observed. "I see you," I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "Good." And she turned and sliced 2 pieces of the Thursday pie and put them on the counter between us and got 2 forks from the drawer, and that was the end of the conversation, and also, somehow, the beginning of everything else. I did not leave on Friday. I called the district office and told them I needed 2 more days in Cimarron County, which was true in the sense that I had not finished what I was doing there, though what I was doing there had expanded considerably from the original assignment. The man at the district office said, "Fine, send the film by Tuesday," and that was that. I spent Saturday helping Calla re-roof the section of the counter's back storage room that had been leaking since the spring. I did not know how to re-roof anything. She did. Her father had taught her. I handed things and held things and was more useful than I expected to be and less embarrassing than I feared. We worked through the morning heat, and at noon she sat on the roof edge with her legs hanging over and ate a cheese sandwich and looked at the Oklahoma sky and said it was going to storm by evening, which it did. A real rain, not a dust storm. The first real rain in 6 weeks, which came in the late afternoon and which we watched from inside the counter through the front window with our coffee, the road outside going dark and wet and the dust going to mud, and the world smelling the way it smells when rain hits dry earth for the first time in a long time, which is the best smell there is. "Does it look different?" she said, "through the camera." "Everything looks different through the camera," I said. "But this," I looked at the rain on the window, "this I want to just watch." She put her coffee cup down on the counter. Then she put her hand over mine on the counter, which was the first time she had touched me in 9 days of sitting across from each other, and we watched the rain come down on Wheeler Road, Oklahoma, in July of 1936, and it was the truest image I had encountered in 6 weeks of looking for true things, and I had no camera in my hands for it, which I think was the point. The rain stopped by evening. The road was wet and the air was clean and the sky was going the colors that Oklahoma skies go after rain, something between pink and amber and a color that doesn't have a name. I stood outside the counter in the cooling air and looked at it. Calla came and stood beside me. "You should photograph this," she said. "I know," I said. I didn't move for the camera. She looked at me sideways. "Miles Garrett," she said. "You're learning." I smiled, possibly the first genuine smile in 6 weeks on the road. "I had a good teacher," I said. She leaned against the door frame of the counter. The pearl earrings caught the last of the light. The road stretched out in both directions, wet and empty and real. "My mother wants me to come to Tulsa," she said. "I know," I said. "I'm not going," she said. "I know," I said. She looked at me. "Do you know what you're going to do?" she said. "After New Mexico?" The honest answer was that I had not known what I was going to do after New Mexico when I arrived in Boise City 9 days ago, and that I knew considerably more now, and that what I knew had the specific quality of a thing that has been true for some time and has only recently been examined directly. "I think I'm going to come back," I said. "After New Mexico." She was quiet for a moment. The sky was going deeper, amber to rose to the dark blue of early evening. The road was drying already. "There's pie on Thursday," she said. "I know," I said. She went back inside. I stood on the road a while longer and looked at the sky, and then at the counter with its light on in the window, the only light on Wheeler Road in both directions, and thought about what I had come to this part of Oklahoma to photograph, and what I was actually taking back with me. I left on Monday morning, which was later than I had told the district office, and earlier than I would have chosen. Calla was already behind the counter when I came in for the last time. She poured my coffee and cut me a piece of pie that she said was left over from Thursday, and that I recognized was not, because I had been there on Thursday, and the case had been empty by noon. I did not say anything about the pie. I ate it. I drank the coffee. I put my camera bag on my shoulder and my hat on my head, and I stood at the counter. "The photographs I took here," I said. "I'll send you copies, whatever Washington doesn't use." "I'd like that," she said. I looked at the counter, at the pressed tin ceiling, at the pie case, at the pearl earrings, at the hazel eyes that were green this morning in the early light. "Calla," I said. "Come back on a Thursday," she said. I came back on a Thursday. I came back on many Thursdays after that, and the Thursdays that I wasn't there, I was on the road thinking about the ones that were coming. The photographs I sent to Washington became some of the best-known images from the FSA's Dust Bowl project, including one of a lunch counter on Wheeler Road, Oklahoma, the coffee urn, the pie case, the open sign, and the morning light falling in a long stripe across the linoleum floor that appeared in 3 newspapers and that people, to this day, describe as capturing something about the period that is difficult to put into words. I know what it captures. I was there. I was sitting on the third stool from the left, and the woman who made the pie was somewhere just outside the frame, which was where she was most of the time, just outside the frame, which is another way of saying she was the reason I kept pointing the camera at everything else. She was the true thing. She was the thing that was still there after everything else was taken away. I just had to put the camera down long enough to see it.